They get confused. And what do you do with a house computer when it goes bad? You turn it off and turn it back on again. So here, we'll take the battery terminal off. Now it might idle a little strange because the computer might have to reset the idle, but you can often fix problems merely by resetting the computer. Because cars are full of tiny microprocessors, and this resets them to their original setting.
Most people panic when their check engine light turns on, but here's the shocking truth. Sometimes the fix is as easy as removing a cable for a few minutes. No scan tool, no mechanic, no repair bill. Just one move under the hood that makes your car's brain forget its temporary glitches. Sounds too good to be true? It's not, but the catch is knowing exactly how to do it right without creating new problems. Let's uncover the free method that mechanics rarely tell you about. Before we move on, I will like you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Imagine your phone locks up, the screen refuses to respond, and nothing works until you turn it off and on again. Suddenly it's fine, like nothing happened. Now picture your car acting the same way. That little glowing check engine light on your dashboard is often the same type of temporary hiccup, triggered by the computer that manages every single system inside the vehicle. It's not magic, it's just how these electronic brains are designed to react when they catch something out of place. Every modern car has what's called an engine control unit, or ECU.
I'm going to show you how you might be able to fix your car for absolutely free. Because cars' computers are sometimes like people. Then simply put the terminal back on again and make sure it's nice and tight.
Think of it like the main processor in your laptop or your smartphone. Its job is constant monitoring. It looks at fuel mixture, spark timing, exhaust gases, throttle response, even how tightly your gas cap is closed. The ECU never stops scanning, and if even one sensor signals something unusual, it raises a red flag. That red flag becomes the check engine light, even if the actual cause is harmless. And here's the frustrating part. A single glitch in communication between those sensors can trigger an alert that looks serious. A minor electrical blip or a hiccup in the ignition system for a fraction of a second convinces the ECU something is wrong. In reality, the system may have already corrected itself while the light stays on, tricking you into thinking you'll need an expensive repair. That's why understanding how to clear those stuck fault codes can feel almost magical. Take the example of a misfire. One cylinder doesn't fire perfectly for a moment, maybe because of moisture in the plug wire or a weak connection. The sensor picks it up instantly and logs an error in the computer. Or consider a loose connection around the battery or a sensor plug that jolts from vibration. These problems are so minor that they disappear seconds later, yet the computer is still holding on to that memory, flashing the check engine light like the situation is ongoing. Mechanics actually have a nickname for the simplest reset method. They call it the off and on trick for your car.
They get confused. And what do you do with a house computer when it goes bad? You turn it off and turn it back on again. So here, we'll take the battery terminal off because cars are full of tiny microprocessors, and this resets them to their original setting.
By disconnecting power briefly, they wipe that memory clean, the same way a restart clears out your frozen phone. For temporary problems, that's usually all it takes for the light to go away. No costly diagnostics required. It's important to understand, though, that not all problems vanish when you reset. If you've got a genuine mechanical issue like a failing sensor, a vacuum leak, or a worn-out part, the warning will come right back. That's why the reset works best for temporary glitches. By clearing the system, you get a clean slate. If the light disappears and stays off, chances are you dealt with an electronic hiccup, but if it pops back on, then you know it's something deeper. Let me give you a real-world scenario. Picture a driver pulling into a gas station and noticing the dreaded light suddenly appear. They're already worrying about getting stuck, calling a tow, or dropping hundreds at a repair shop. But someone shows them how to disconnect the battery for a few minutes. When they reconnect it and restart, no warning light. Completely gone. What felt like a disaster turned out to be a free fix in less than 15 minutes. The secret behind it working is straightforward. Your car's computer stores temporary codes that tell it something went wrong here.
Then wait 4 or 5 minutes so it can reset itself. Now it might idle a little strange because the computer might have to reset the idle, but you can often fix problems merely by resetting the computer. Then turn the headlights on with the battery disconnected. That won't turn the headlights on, but it will empty the power in the capacitor.
Removing battery power resets that storage. Sensors then restart, reevaluate the current situation, and if everything is normal, the light never turns back on. It's not superstition, it's simply the system recalibrating. So here's the key takeaway. Resetting by cutting power doesn't repair physical parts, but it wipes the slate clean for the computer. That's why the check engine light can vanish after a reset. And now that you know how it works, the real question becomes clear. How do you actually do it safely in your own driveway without risking damage? That's exactly what we'll cover next. You've probably heard people say, just disconnect the battery to reset it. But what does that actually mean? More importantly, how do you do it the right way so you don't fry electronics or risk a nasty spark? The truth is, this trick is simple, but only if you follow the right order and give your car's computer enough time to reset itself. The method itself is known as the battery disconnection reset. The good news is you don't need a fancy diagnostic tool or a trip to the dealership. All it takes is a basic wrench or socket set, something most people already keep in their garage. By cutting temporary power to the system, you're forcing the ECU to dump its stored trouble codes and start fresh. But here's the important part. Doing it wrong can cause more headaches than the check engine light itself. Let's start with the biggest mistake people make: disconnecting the wrong terminal first. Your battery has a positive post and a negative post. Mixing them up could lead to short circuits or sparks if a tool touches metal at the wrong time. The rule is simple but crucial. Always disconnect the negative side before touching the positive. The negative cable is almost always marked with a minus sign, and the wire is usually black. Think of it as breaking the circuit in the safest way possible. Once that clamp is loose and off the post, the risk of sparks drops dramatically. The next step is just as important but often overlooked: waiting. Pulling the wire off and immediately reconnecting it won't actually do much. Most cars store temporary electrical power in capacitors, tiny components that keep memory alive for a short period. To clear that memory, you need to give the system enough time without juice. Depending on the make and model, that can mean anywhere from 2 minutes to as long as 15 before everything truly resets. If you rush this, the computer may still hold on to the old codes and the light will come right back the second you restart. Once you've given the system time to drain down, it's time to restore power. Slide the negative cable back onto the battery post and make sure the connection is tight. A loose clamp could cause electrical gremlins later, like flickering lights or strange behavior from the dashboard. Tighten the bolt snugly, but don't over tighten to the point of damaging the clamp. At this point, you've essentially rebooted your car. When you turn the key, the ECU wakes up with a blank memory and begins monitoring conditions all over again. Some cars may need one extra step after this reset: throttle recalibration. Since the ECU has completely cleared its learned values, the electronic throttle body doesn't always respond smoothly right away. The simple fix is to put the ignition in the on position without starting the engine. Press the accelerator pedal all the way to the floor, hold it, then release slowly and turn the key back off. This tells the computer to relearn the range of motion for the throttle, helping to prevent a rough idle or hesitation when you do start driving again. Try this method carefully, and if problems return, invest in a basic OBD2 scanner. It lets you see codes yourself and better understand what's happening. So the next time that dreaded light turns on, remember, you have a free trick most mechanics never mention.